So do you guys remember on January 4th of this year I made this video? You can click the video here and you can watch it in case you don't know what I'm referring to. But this video here is where I talked about a story, a case in which these high school football team in Ohio raped a young 16-year-old girl by taking, she was unconscious, and they took her to different locations when she was unconscious and repetitively and repeatedly raped her by fingering her and doing many, many other things to her and violating her, along with recording her, taking pictures, and then stupidly they uploaded the video of them violating this young girl to YouTube. I made a video about it, and today, on the front of Yahoo News and many other news websites, two of the Ohio perpetrators of this young girl are going to prison. But hold your tongue. Yes, I'm glad that only two, I wish there was more, because there was a lot more people involved in the case, but this video isn't rehashing my previous video. Rather, I want to focus on some statements made in the trial of these perpetrators, these, I should call them rapists, of this young girl, and what they said in trial. Quote, "It wasn't violent," explained teammate Evan Westlake when asked why he didn't stop the two defendants as they abused a non-moving girl that Westlake knew to be highly intoxicated. "I always pictured it as forcing yourself on someone," end quote. Continuing on, I quote, "At one point of the night of the incident, Westlake, who was sober, determined that his friend Mark was too drunk to make a 10-minute drive from home. Cole refused to turn over his keys, claiming that he could operate his Volkswagen just fine. So in doing so, he eventually tricked his friend by waiting him to relax and then forcibly seizing the keys of the car. Yet," quote, "maybe a half hour later, Westlake walked in on the girl sprawled out naked in the middle of the basement floor. To her side was Mays, exposed, slapping his penis on the girl's hip. Behind her was Richmond, who, Westlake said, was violating her with 2 fingers. You can click the link down below in the description to read the full article and everything that actually happened, it's a fairly detailed article. However, I want to address the first main statement. And I quote, "It wasn't violent," explained teammate Evan Westlake when he asked why he didn't stop the two defendants as they abused a non-moving girl that Westlake knew to be highly intoxicated. "I always pictured it as forcing yourself on someone." This is what I want to focus on. I want to focus on rape. More specifically, that I'm here today that I think, and this is my proposal, and let me know if you guys agree with me or not. Feel free to disagree, but I think most of you will agree with me. I think it's about time that we start teaching what rape is in school. Not in high school, but maybe, you know, kind of like when they're in their 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old age range. Yeah. You know, we have sex education, right? Well, for the most part. Assuming that sex education isn't saying be abstinence, but if you don't choose to be abstinent, we're not going to teach you actually how to have safe sex. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're in a school, and that school teaches sex education on how to have safe sex, don't you think it would be a valuable option to talk about and teach what constitutes as rape and how it is defined? Because from this statement, it wasn't violent. And, quote, "I always pictured it as forcing yourself on someone." So because this girl, who was highly intoxicated, was passed out and unconscious, that's not rape. This is the world we live in, my fellow reptiles. This is the world we live in. This statement is not only pure ignorance, but it worries me, and this is why I propose that we teach what sexual assault is in schools. so that maybe these young 16-year-old high school students or any further further born high school students down the line can maybe comprehend what constitutes as rape, so maybe they won't do it. Just a thought. It's interesting because on the Yahoo front page, there's a photo of the two perpetrators of this young girl. They're crying their eyes out. Crying. Like I'm supposed to feel sympathy. Like I'm supposed to feel sorry for what they did. You can read the rest of the article. They took her in a car, they took her to a house, and just kept on. Touching her, violating her, raping her, gang raping her. There are two types of people in this world. There are people who will cry because they are truly sorry for what they did and regret the mistakes that they made. Or there's people who will cry because they got caught. I wonder which one these two kids are. No, not kids. Adults are. Because I think 16, 17, 18 years old is an age range where you know what you're doing. And yet, here we are in the 21st century, and we have statements like, I always pictured it as forcing yourself on someone. It wasn't violent. Of course. If putting your fingers in a woman when she's unconscious without her consent, that's not violent, but that's rape. Pure and simple. There's no arguing about it. And to anyone who argues that because she's unconscious, therefore it's okay, get off this video. If I know it's a minority of people who believe that, but if someone doesn't consent to you doing something, it is wrong, period. Sexually. If they do not consent, if they're unconscious, if they don't say, yes, let's have sex, let's do things together, it's rape. It's so simple, yet people still don't understand this. And this story is a perfect example. That is why I propose that we teach what rape is in schools now. And I don't even like talking about this subject, but I think it's come to the point now where we need to do this. Because if talking about what constitutes as rape and teaching what rape is in school can stop maybe a few people from raping someone else, that's better than nothing, right? I think so. And I'm going to be honest, completely brutally honest, this is one of the reasons why I'm afraid to ever have children, is because the generation of kids nowadays seems to be becoming more and more ignorant on subjects like this, where they even use arguments to justify their violation of a young girl by saying, well, she was unconscious, therefore it was okay. I'm afraid to have children when I hit 27, 28, 29, probably 30 years old, if I ever decide to have children. It's because they're going to be living up in a world where people are like this, where people are this ignorant about things. If I ever become a father, I'm going to be teaching them everything I possibly can, every knowledge, every ounce of wisdom that I have as a 30-year-old male. I will be teaching them and bringing them up in a very difficult, destructed, corrupted world where things like this, where rape is justified because she was unconscious. That's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. And what are you and me going to do about it? That is the question.